If you ever meet this boy, then you might want to have a talk with him. Here's what he wrote. Smart, by Shel Silverstein. My dad gave me $1 bill because I'm his smartest son. Then I traded it for 2 shiny quarters, and 2 is more than 1. And then I traded them to Lou for 3 dimes. Guess he don't know that 3 is more than 2. And along came old blind Bates, and just 'cause he can't see, he gave me 4 nickels for my 3 dimes, and 4 is more than 3. And then I took it down to Hiram Coop's down at the seed feed store, and the fool gave me 5 pennies for them, and 5 is more than 4. And then I went and showed my dad, and he got red in the cheeks and closed his eyes and shook his head, too proud of me to speak.
Shel Silverstein is the author of many poems. He was a playwright and Grammy-winning and Oscar-nominated songwriter as well. I will now recite for you Open at Night by Shel Silverstein. She had the jitters, she had the flu, she showed up late, she missed her cue. She kicked the director, she screamed at the crew, and tripped on a prop and fell in some goo, and ripped her costume a place or 2. Then she forgot a line she knew, and went meow instead of a moo. She heard him giggle, she heard him boo, the program sailed, the popcorn flew, as she stomped off stage with a boo-hoo-hoo. The fringe of the curtain got caught in her shoe. The set crashed down, the lights did too. Maybe that's why she didn't want to do an interview.
My Big Fat Cat by Christian M. Mitterrand. Do any of you have a pet? Well, I do. I have a big, fat cat. I own a big, fat cat. He's the fattest for miles around. Wherever there's lots of food, that's where he'll be found. He's really good at eating. It's a talent, I suppose. I'm sure if he keeps at it, he'd win the talent shows. I own a big, fat cat. He weighs at least a ton. He couldn't run to save his life. Yes, he isn't much fun. His favorite room's the kitchen. I'm sure we all know why. He's just about everything, so that's why. I'd like to tell you, teacher, I'd like to tell you straight. I might have accidentally dropped my homework on his plate.
What if by Shel Silverstein? Last night while I lay thinking here, someone is called inside my ear. They pranced and partied all night long and sang their same old what if song. What if I'm dumb in school? What if they close the swimming pool? What if I get beat up? What if there's poison in my cup? What if I start to cry? What if I get sick and die? What if I flunk the test? What if I grow green hair on my chest? What if no one likes me? What if lightning strikes me? What if I don't grow taller? What if my head starts growing smaller? What if the fish won't fight? What if the wind tears my kite? What if they start a war? What if my parents get divorced? What if the bus is late? What if my teeth don't go on straight? What if I tear my pants? What if I never learn how to dance? Everything seems well, but the nightmare wish strikes again.
I have a hot dog for a pet. Do any of you? I do. It's a little bit sad. I have a hot dog for a pet, the only kind my folks will let me get. He does smell sort of bad, and yet he absolutely never gets the sofa wet. We have a butcher for a vet, the strangest vet you ever met. Guess we're the weirdest family yet to have a hot dog for a pet.
My poem is called Something Missing by Shel Silverstein. I remember I put on my socks. I remember I put on my shoes. I remember I put on my tie that was painted in beautiful purples and blues.
I remember I put on my coat to look perfectly grand at the dance, yet I felt there is something I may have forgot. What is it? What is it?
And you may begin when you're ready.
1 Inch Tall by Shel Silverstein. If you were only 1 inch tall, you'd ride a worm to school. The teardrop of a crying ant would be your swimming pool. A crumb of cake would be a feast and last you 7 days at least. A flea would be a frightening beast if you were 1 inch tall. If you were only 1 inch tall, you'd walk beneath the door, and it would take about a month to get down to the store. A bit of fluff would be your bed. You swing upon a spider's thread and wear a thimble on your head if you were 1 inch tall. You'd surf across the kitchen sink upon a stick of gum. You couldn't hug your mama. You'd just have to hug her thumb. You'd run from people's feet in fright. To move a pen would take all night. This poem took 14 years to write, 'cause I'm just 1 inch tall.
My Teacher Took My iPod by Kelly Nelson. My teacher took my iPod. She said they had a rule. I couldn't bring it into class or even to the school. She said she would return it. I'd have it back that day, but then she tried my headphones on and gave a click on play. She looked a little startled, but after just a while, she made sure we were occupied and cracked a wicked smile. Her body started swaying, her toes began to tap. She started grooving in her seat and rocking to the rap. My teacher said she thinks it's now okay to bring my iPod into class. She takes it every day.
You may begin when you're ready.
If the World Was Crazy by Shel Silverstein. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd eat? A big slice of soup and a whole quart of meat, a lemonade sandwich, and then I might try some roasted ice cream or a bicycle pie, a nice notebook salad and underwear roast, a omelet of hats and some crisp cardboard toast, a thick malted milk made from pencils and daisies, and that's what I'd eat if the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd wear? A chocolate suit and a tie of eclair, marshmallow earmuffs and licorice shoes, and I'd read the paper of peppermint news. I'd call the boys Susie and I'd call the girls Harry. I'd talk through my ears and would always carry a paper umbrella for when it grew hazy to keep in the rain if the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd do? I'd walk on the ocean and swim in my shoe. I'd fly through the ground and skip through the air. I'd run down the bathtub and bathe on the stair. When I met somebody, I'd say, "Goodbye, Joe." And when I was leaving, then I'd say, "Hello." And the greatest of men would be silly and lazy, so I would be king if the world was crazy.
I Think My Dad is Dracula by Ken Nesbitt. I think my dad is Dracula. I know that sounds insane, but just listen for a moment and allow me to explain. We don't live in a castle and we never sleep in caves, but still there's something weird about the way my dad behaves. I never see him go out in the daytime when it's light. He sleeps all day till evening, then he leaves the house at night. He comes home every morning saying, "Man, I'm really dead." Then he kisses us good night, and by sunrise he's in bed. My mom heard my suspicion, and she said, "You're not too swift. Your dad's not a vampire. He just works the graveyard shift."
Hi, I'm Carly Relvis. Maybe you have something you really love to do. Well, for me, it's reading. I have bookitis. I can't stop reading. Reading isn't a problem for most people, but it can be a problem for me. Here's a poem I wrote about my bookitis. Bookitis by Carly Relvis. I have bookitis. I can't stop reading. I read while I'm eating. I read while I'm playing. I even read in my dreams. I love reading so much. If I had to choose, my favorite book would probably be Wonder. I have lots of favorites, from fantasy books to historical fiction. Harry Potter books are my second favorite. I even started screaming one day when I thought I was finishing the series too soon.
I had to start reading other books in between so my Harry Potter books will last longer. For me, reading is like a disease that never goes away. Sometimes I read when I'm not supposed to, and sometimes people say I read way too much. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I've even been told to stop reading in class. Sorry, Mrs. Shaw. Sometimes, when I'm supposed to be sleeping, I read under my blankets, which results in my book light getting taken away. Luckily, I always get it back. Other times, when I'm given the choice between vacuuming or cleaning out the dishwasher, I choose reading, which unfortunately just leads to more chores. But what can I say? I love to read. Well, and speech fairs too.
Unicorn by Shel Silverstein. A long time ago, when the earth was green, there was lots more animals than you've ever seen. There was green alligators, long-necked geese, humpback camels, and chimpanzees. There were cats and rats and elephants, which I think were gross. But the loveliest of all was the unicorn. The Lord seen some sinning, and it caused him pain. He says, "Stand back, I'm gonna make it rain." He says, "Hey, Brother Noah, I'll tell you what you do. Go and build me a floating zoo." Noah was there. He heard the calling. He finished the ark as the rain started falling. He marched in the animals 2 by 2. He yelled out, "Hey, Lord, I've got your green alligators, your long-necked geese, your humpback camels, your chimpanzees. But Lord, I'm so forlorn, because I don't see no unicorn. Those little silly unicorn, they're out playing games." But he didn't have time to wait. He says, "Close up the ark. We have to go." And that's probably, very possibly why you do not see a unicorn to this day.
My name's Anthony Sussman, and one of my favorite book series is Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I'm going to recite some excerpts from the first book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, by Jeff Kinney. First of all, let me get this straight. This is a journal, not a diary. I know what it says on the cover, but when my mom went out to buy this thing, I specifically told her to not get one that's a diary on it. Great. All I needed is for some jerk to catch me carrying this book around and get the wrong idea. The other thing I want to clear out right away, that this was my mom's idea, not mine. If she thinks I'm going to write my feelings in here, she's crazy. So don't expect me to be all Dear Diary this and Dear Diary that. The only reason I agreed to do all of this because I figured one day I'll be rich and famous and I'll have better things to do instead of answering people's stupid questions all day. Like I said, I'll be famous one day, but right now I'm stuck in middle school with a whole bunch of morons. For the record, I think middle school is the dumbest idea ever invented. You've got kids like me who haven't even hit their growth spurt yet, mixed in with the gorillas that have to shave twice a day. If it was up to me, grade level would be by height, not age. But kids like Chirag Gupta would still be in the first grade. Today was the first day of school, and my teacher needed to hurry up and finish the cheating chart. So I figured to pass time, I should write my book. Today we had PE, so the first thing I did when we went outside was to go see if the cheese was still there. Sure enough, it was. That cheese has been sitting there since last spring. After a few days, it got old, moldy, and nasty. Nobody would play on the basketball court where it was. But one day, a kid named Darren Walsh touched the cheese with his finger. That was started the thing called the cheese touch. It's basically like the cooties. You stuck with it until you pass it on to someone else. The only way to protect yourself from the cheese touch is to cross your fingers. But it's hard to remember to cross your fingers every single moment of the day, so I ended up taping my fingers together. I got a D in handwriting, but it was totally worth it.
More Pies by Robert Munch. Samuel woke up very hungry. He went downstairs and ate a bowl of cereal. Chug, chug, chomp. Samuel was still very hungry, so he asked his mother, "May I please have some more food?" "Yes," his mother replied. "You are a growing boy and you need to eat." So Samuel's mom gave him 1 bowl of cereal, 2 milkshakes, and 1 fried chicken. Samuel ate it really fast. Chug, chug, chomp. Samuel was still hungry, so he asked his mother, "May I please have 7 fried chickens?" "7 fried chickens!" his mother exclaimed. "Enough is enough. Go outside and play." So Samuel started rolling in the grass as he said, "Help, I'm starving, help." So Samuel's little brother ran outside and said, "If you are so hungry, go to the park and enter the pie eating contest." So Samuel went to the park and ran right in the middle of the contest and said, "Give me some pies." And the judges said, "You're only a little boy. Go home." There's a long wide table, and there sat a lumberjack, a fireman, and a construction worker. The construction worker said it won't hurt to give him some pies. So Samuel sat down, and each contestant got 1 pie. And the judges said, 1, 2, 3, eat! And they ate it really fast. Chug, chug, chomp. Then the construction worker said, "Oh, my tummy hurts," turned green, and fell under the table. Now each contestant got 2 pies, and the judges said, 1, 2, 3, eat! And they ate it really fast. Chug, chug, chomp. Then the lumberjack said, "Oh, my tummy hurts," turned blue, and fell under the table. Now each contestant got 3 pies, and the judges said, 1, 2, 3, eat! And they ate it really fast. Chug, chug, chomp. Then the fireman said, "Oh, my tummy hurts," turned purple, and fell under the table. "Samuel wins the prize pie. Who would have known?" said the judges. So Samuel took home his prize pie, and his mother said, "Samuel, you're right on time. I just finished making lunch. We're having pies." "Pies?" said Samuel as he turned green and fell under the table.
You may begin when you're ready.
Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out by Shel Silverstein. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. She'd scour the pots and scrape the pans, candy the yams and spice the hams. And though her daddy would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. And so it piled up the ceilings, coffee grounds, potato peelings, brown bananas, rotten peas, chunks of sour cottage cheese. It filled the can, it covered the floor, it cracked the window, blocked the door, with bacon rinds and chicken bones, drippy ends of ice cream cones, prune pits, peach pits, orange peel, gloppy glumps of cold oatmeal, pizza crust and withered grains, soggy beans and tangerines, crust of blackburn butter toast, gristly bits of beefy roast. The garbage rolled on down the hall. It raised the roof, it broke the wall. Greasy napkins, cookie crumbs, blobs of gooey bubble gum, cellophane from green bologna, rubbery blubbery macaroni, peanut butter caked and dry, curled milk and crust of pie, moldy melons, dried up mustard, eggshells mixed with lemon custard, cold french fries and rancid meat, yellow lumps of cream of wheat. At last the garbage reached so high that it finally touched the sky. And all the neighbors moved away, and none of her friends would come to play. And finally, Sarah Cynthia Stout said, "Okay, I'll take the garbage out." But then, of course, it was too late. The garbage reached on across the state, from New York to Golden Gate, and there in the garbage she did hate. Poor Sarah met an awful fate that I cannot right now relate, because the hour is much too late. But children, remember Sarah Stout, and always take the garbage out.
First of all, we would like to thank Google, Wikipedia, and Copy and Paste for helping us get through 6th grade. We couldn't have done it without you. And now for our speech, called The Life of a 6th Grader, written by Bettina, Brena, Athena, and Maribel.
It is a new year of school, they always say, entering 6th grade. So many opportunities, STEM, math class, and RAD. I am so glad. Let's start with STEM. Read the quote, write an essay they told us to do. If you were there, you would know what we went through. The quote was so different, but they told us to write. It got harder and harder each time my jaws held tight. When it was finally over, I saw black and white. I'd say, let's call it a night. But wait, there's math class. I hope it go fast. It did not. It was the same as the last. She gave us a test that lasted so long. I didn't realize I got all the problems wrong. Yet there is rad, which I hope I'll get into. So before I went into the classroom, I got a box of tissues. Then they said, who got in? I was not one of them. Just like STEM, it went over again. I didn't know why I wanted to cry with a box of tissues right by my side. All the opportunities we have in 6th grade, and I didn't get into one. But I know 6th grade is really, really fun. The best part about 6th grade are the teachers, of course. Mrs. Moreno and Mrs. Loomis have taught us so much. Without them, we'd be nothing but junk. Without them, every test we would have taken, we would have flunked. But we didn't. We would like to thank calculators and computers for helping us pass our tests and helping us be our best. Thank you to everyone who helped us have a blast at our last year of Walnut.
Mrs. Fields gets you settled. You may begin when you are ready.
On July 4th, 1939, one of baseball's greatest players stepped up to a microphone at Yankee Stadium and delivered what would become one of the most famous speeches in baseball history. Lou Gehrig would die 2 years later of ALS, a disease that would take on his name. Now I present Lou Gehrig's Luckiest Man. Fans, for the past few weeks, you have been reading about the bad break I got. But today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I have been in ballparks for 17 years and never received anything but kindness and encouragement from you fans. Look at these grand men. Which of you wouldn't consider it a highlight of his career just to associate with them for even one day? Sure, I'm lucky. Who wouldn't consider it an honor to have known Jacob Ruppert and the builder of baseball's greatest empire, Ed Burrow, to have spent the first 6 years with that wonderful little fellow, Miller Higgins, and the next 9 years with that outstanding leader, the smart student of psychology, the best manager in baseball today, Joe McCarthy. When the New York Giants, a team you give your right arm to beat, and vice versa, send you a gift, that's something. When everybody, down to the groundskeepers and boys in white coats, remember you with trophies, that is something. When you have a wonderful mother-in-law who takes side with you and squabbles with her own daughter, that's something. When you have a father and a mother who works all their lives to build your body and give you an education, that's a blessing. When you have a wife who has been a tower of strength and has shown more courage than you have ever dreamed existed, that people is the finest I know. So I close and say, I may have had a tough break, but I got an awful lot to live for.
Zebra question by Shel Silverstein. I asked the zebra, are you black with white stripes, or are you white with black stripes? And the zebra asked me, are you good with bad habits, or are you bad with good habits? Are you quiet when you're loud, or are you loud when you're quiet? Are you sad on happy days, or are you happy on sad days? Are you neat in sloppy ways, or are you sloppy in neat ways? And on and on and on and on he went with questions. And on and on and on he went. I'll never ask a zebra about his stripes again.
Mr. Money, and you may begin when you are ready.
The Tale of the Custard Dragon by Ogden Nash. Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little gray mouse and a little red dog. Can I start over, please?
Yes, it's okay. Just take a deep breath. No.
My voice.
It's okay. Take a deep breath. Do you want to start over right here? Or you want someone to go in?
Yes, please.
Oh, just a moment. Do you need a little drink of water?
Yes, please. All right, I think I'm good.
Go ahead and get you situated. Let Mrs. Hales recenter you.
All right. The Tale of the Custard Dragon by Ogden Nash. Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little gray mouse, and a little yellow dog and a little red wagon, and a Realio Trulio little pet dragon. Now the name of the little black cat was Ink, and the name of the little gray mouse, she called her Blink, and the name of the little yellow dog was Sharp as Mustard, but the dragon was a coward and she called him Custard. Custard the dragon has big sharp teeth, spikes on top of him and scales underneath, a mouth like a fireplace, a chimney for a nose, and Realio Trulio, daggers on his toes. Belinda is as brave as a barrel full of bears. Ink and Blink chase lions down the stairs. Mustard is as brave as a tiger in a rage, while Custard cries, for a nice safe cage. Belinda tickles him. She tickles him unmerciful, while Ink and Blink rudely call him Percival. They all sat laughing in the little red wagon at the Realio Trulio cowardly dragon. Belinda giggled. She giggled till she shook the house. Blink said, "Wink," which is giggling, for a mouse. Both Ink and Mustard rudely asked his age, when Custard cried, for a nice safe cage. Suddenly, they heard a nasty sound. Mustard growled, and they all looked around. "Meouch!" cried Ink. "Ooh!" cried Belinda, for there was a pirate climbing in the window. Pistol in his left hand, pistol in his right, and in his teeth he held a cutlass bright. His beard was black, one leg was wood. It was clear the pirate meant no good. Belinda paled. She cried, "Help, help!" But Mustard fled with a terrified yelp. Ink trickled down to the very bottom of the household, while little Mouse Blink strategically mouseholed. But up jumped Custard, snorting like an engine, clashed his tail like irons in a dungeon, and with a clank and a clatter and a jangling squirm, Custard went at that pirate like a robin at a worm. The pirate gasped at Belinda's dragon and took a drink of grog from his pocket flagon. He fired 2 bullets, but they didn't hit, and Custard gobbled him every bit. Belinda embraced him. Mustard licked him. No one was mourning for his pirate victim. Ink and Blink did the gyrate around the dragon that ate the pirate. Belinda still lives in her little white house with her little black kitten and her little gray mouse and her little yellow dog and her little red wagon and her Realio Trulio little pet dragon. Belinda is as brave as a barrel full of bears. Ink and Blink chase lions down the stairs. Mustard is as brave as a tiger in a rage, while Custard still cries for a nice safe gauge.
And when you are ready.
Hello, I'll be presenting Lunchtime, a monologue from the Broadway musical You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, based on characters by Charles Schulz. The character speaking this selection is Charlie Brown himself, as he prepares to eat his bagged lunch. I think lunchtime is about the worst time of the day for me. Always having to sit here, alone. Of course, sometimes mornings aren't so pleasant either, waking up and wondering if anyone would really miss me if I never got out of bed. And then there's the night too, lying there, thinking about all the stupid things I've done during the day, and all those hours in between when I do those stupid things. Well, lunchtime is among the worst times of the day for me. Well, I guess I better see what I got. Peanut butter. Some psychiatrists say people who eat peanut butter sandwiches are lonely. I guess they're right.
and the swirlies on me, the peanut butter sticks to the roof of her mouth.
Boy, the PTA sure did a good job of painting these benches. There's that cute little redhead girl eating her lunch over there. I wonder what she'd do if I went over and asked if I could sit and have lunch with her. She'd probably laugh right in my face. It's hard on the face when it gets laughed in. There's an empty place next to her on the bench. There's no reason why I can't just go over and sit there. I can do that right now. All I have to do is stand up. I'm standing up! I'm sitting down! I'm a coward. I'm so much of a coward, she wouldn't even think of looking at me. She hardly ever does look at me. In fact, I can't remember her ever looking at me. Why shouldn't she look at me? Is there a reason in the world why she shouldn't look at me? Is she so great, and am I so small that she couldn't spare one little moment just to... She's looking at me! Lunchtime is among the worst times of the day for me. If that little red-headed girl is looking at me with this stupid bag on my head, she must think I'm the biggest fool alive. But if she isn't looking at me, then maybe I could take it off real quickly, and she'd never notice it. On the other hand, I can't tell if she was looking till I take it off. Then again, if I never take it off, I'll never have to know if she was looking or not. On the other hand, it's very hard to breathe in here. She's not looking at me. I wonder why she never looks at me. Oh well, another lunch hour over with. Only 2,863 to go.
Sleeping Spell, a monologue by D.M. Larson, adapted from the play Sleeping Handsome. Let's listen as we eavesdrop on the evil villain Morgan's conversation with the prince. So, Prince Charles, it looks like we're getting engaged. It's about time the witch gets to be the princess. I'm tired of all those cutesy chicks getting their happy endings. It's time for the bad girls to get theirs. That's right. Do you dig it? What do you mean I'm disqualified? I won your riddle contest. What ugly clause in the rules? Let me see that. Oh, this is horrible. I didn't know about this. Oh, why I hate the fine print. You should be ashamed at having a rule like this. This is so evil. I knew I liked you. Well, if you want ugly, I will show you ugly. You haven't seen anything yet. Here's a nice spell. Who'll make the girls weep? Get a pillow because you're going to sleep. Zzz. There you go, handsome. Sleeping handsome. I like the sound of that. You see, I figured that Prince Charles would cheat at his own game and not allow me to win the riddle contest. That's why I had the sleeping spell ready. And it is a very special sleeping spell that we will have to let work overtime. In time, the spell will be powerful enough to let me have my revenge. Oh, hello. I have no idea what happened to the prince. He just said he was getting ever so sleepy and poof, he was off to dreamland. What? How could you think little old me did this? A witch? I'm not a witch. How could you say such a thing? A wand? Is that what this is? I thought it was a back scratcher. Okay, fine. You got me. I am a witch, and it was no accident. But I'm afraid you won't be able to do anything about it. Only a little rest so I can do what's best. I'll wake him all right. I'll wake him with the magic kiss, one that will put him under my power. Forever. And scene.
The Unicorn by Shel Silverstein. A long time ago, when the earth was green and there was more kinds of animals than you've ever seen, and they run around free while the world was being born, but the loveliest of all was the unicorn. There was green alligators and long-necked geese, humpy-bumpy camels and chimpanzees. There were cats and rats and elephants, but sure as you're born, the loveliest of all was the unicorn. But the Lord seen some sinning, and it caused him pain. So he says, "Stand back, I'm gonna make it rain." He says, "Hey, brother Noah, I'll tell you what to do. Go and build me a floating zoo. And you take 2 alligators and a couple of geese, 2 humpy-bumpy camels and chimpanzees, take 2 cats and rats and elephants. But sure as you're born, Noah, don't you forget my unicorn." Now, Noah was there, and he answered the calling, and he finished up the ark just as the rain was falling, and he marched the animals in 2 by 2, and he called out as they went through, "Hey, Lord, I got your 2 alligators and your couple of geese, your humpy-bumpy camels and chimpanzees. I got your cats and rats and elephants. But Lord, I'm so forlorn, 'cause I just don't see no unicorn." Old Noah looked through the driving rain, but the unicorns were hiding, playing silly games. They were kicking and splashing in the misty morn. Oh, them silly unicorn. Then the goat started goating, and the snake started snaking. The elephant started elephanting, and the boat started shaking. And the mouse started squeaking, and the lion started roaring, and everyone's aboard but the unicorn. I mean, the green alligators and the long-necked geese, the humpy-bumpy camels and the chimpanzees. Noah cried, "Close the door, 'cause the rain is pouring, and we just can't wait for them unicorn." Then the ark started moving, and it drifted with the tide, and the unicorns looked up from the rock and cried. Then the water came up and sort of floated them away, and that's why you'll never see a unicorn to this day. You'll see a lot of alligators and a whole mess of geese, lots of humpy-bumpy camels and chimpanzees. You'll see a lot of cats and rats and elephants, but sure as you're born, you're never gonna see no unicorn.
This is What If and Crazy Dream by Shel Silverstein. Last night while I lay thinking here, some what ifs crawled inside my ear and pranced and partied all night long and sang their same old what if song. What if I'm dumb in school? What if they've closed the swimming pool? What if I get beat up? What if there's poison in my cup? What if I start to cry? What if I get sick and die? What if nobody likes me? What if a bolt of lightning strikes me? What if I flunk that test? What if green hair grows on my chest? What if I don't grow taller? What if my head starts getting smaller? What if the fish won't bite? What if the wind tears up my kite? What if they start a war? What if my parents get divorced? What if the bus is late? What if my teeth don't grow in straight? Everything seems swell, and then the nighttime what-ifs strike again. Last night, I had a crazy dream that I was teaching school. The teachers had turned into kids, and I laid down the rules. I gave them 100 history books to memorize each night and made them read them on their heads without turning on the light. I sent them on a field trip to the outskirts of Mongolia and gave them an overnight assignment to grow a 20-foot purple magnolia. I asked them how many awful grades could cause how many tears, and if they got one question wrong, I just hung them by their ears. And when they talked or laughed in class, I pinched them till they cried, louder and louder, until